I think I'm live now. Let me just check that. Sorry. So yesterday, my live board. So yesterday, automatically, I don't know how my live board. So yesterday, automatically, I don't know how my live board. So yesterday, automatically, I don't know how my live board. Check. So live board. So yesterday, automatically, I don't. So live board. So yesterday. So I think I'm live and my mic and everything also fine. That's so I think. Let's open our editor and of course FTX UI for now. So we have the same task for today as well, that we're gonna create 3 columns or 3 menus with input option and this everything, input option and output thing. And I think this can be done by default plus JNK to up and down in a particular column, but this I have to write separately, press tab to jump from column to column. It's hard to rename things on pressing enter. Print. Okay. Okay. So I think we will do till this checkpoint. And currently, what's the time? Let me check. Currently, it's 8, and we have time up to 12. Let's see now. Let me just close this thing first of all. And this is where we were. I think in between the live stream got cancelled, and this is what I built. Basically, copied the code. Now let's study about. First of all, I want to understand one thing, that let me open this container namespace. So in this container namespace, if you see this thing, button syntax, it takes a label for button, then it takes a function which will be executed on clicking that button, and this is, I think, the button option, which meant to be some style. For example, here we implemented a custom style. This is a custom style in which on hovering over, or when the s dot label is focused, we are making it bold. Okay, so the thing that I'm interested in is this thing. What is this function? And inside this we have void. So what is this thing? So I will just copy this line, and of course I'm going to ask now Gemini that what this function void is. What's happening? Okay. Why it's taking so long? Let me just open ChatGPT as well. Turn on the temporary chat. What is this function? Or I should search it on. What is function underscore void in CBT? And we ask here also, in case we don't find anything useful. So void represents a function type that I know that takes no parameter and doesn't provide a return value. It is often used to define function pointer or specify that a function does not require any input and will not provide any output. Huh? Should I open this thing? My main issue is, can I hover here to get any information? Function void polymorphic function wrapper. Should I click here to get more information about this thing? Shit, it's something else, guys. It's very confusing. So I think on click we have defined somewhere. See this thing. This is the on click function. Okay, so it's a lambda function. And in the lambda function, we are saying that it's void. That means void represents a function that is no parameter, and Gemini will answer nicely, I think. Is a general purpose wrapper that can store, copy, and invoke any callable piece of code as long as that code takes no argument and returns nothing. Okay, is a general purpose wrapper that can store, copy, and invoke any callable piece of code as long as that code takes no arguments and returns nothing. So this function void means here we will have a function that will be executed on click, and it's not going to have any, what we say, arguments, and it's not going to return anything also. It is the action you want the program to execute when a user clicks the button. Here is a breakdown of exactly how that syntax works and why it is used. std function, and this is a template class from C++ standard library, specifically function header. It acts as a container for callable object. The angle bracket defines the signature, the input parameters, and return type of the function you are allowed to put inside that container. Okay, void, this represents the return type. It means the function you pass, it shouldn't return any value. This parenthesis represent the argument the function accepts. Okay, it shouldn't, because they are empty, the function must not take any argument. If it were like this in standard string, it would mean a function that would take string argument. Okay, that means onClick will be a function which not gonna return anything and which not going to take any arguments as well. Okay. Why use it here? Using std function is incredibly powerful for UI components like a button, because it makes the button generic. The button class doesn't need to know what you want to happen when it's clicked. It only needs to know how to trigger it. How do you use it in practice? std function is so flexible. You can use several different types of callables to this. Okay, here you see, because std function is so flexible, you can pass several different types of callable to this button function. One is passing a lambda expression, most common, you see. And here also, when we return this thing, we created a lambda function only. Lambda are quick inline function. This is the standard way to handle UI callbacks in modern C++, because you can define the button behavior right where you create it. Okay, like this button save game. This is the, well, and when you click here, this is the action maybe. Passing a regular free function. Okay, we can use this as well, which doesn't return anything. The conditions are only two: don't return anything and don't take anything as parameter. Passing a member function. Void close menu. Okay. Okay, so we got this thing. Now, the other thing that I want to understand, this is about the button. I got it. To create a button, we need a label and one function with void and then style. But still, I have one more question, and that is about the custom style that we created here. This custom style have this entry state thing. I want to understand about this entry state. So entry state is nothing. It's a struct arguments for transform from arguments for transform. So when we use transform here, okay, here we are having a string label to display state, the state of the button, checkbox, and radio box, whether the entry is active one. So s dot label, and you see whether the entry is one focused by the user, index of the entry when applicable, or -1, we can get the index as well. So what is transform? Let's understand about transform as well. This is the sound of a fighter jet, if you have heard it, because I live very close to airfield. And they are doing some drill, I guess so. Okay, so this transform function is what returns an element and take an entry state as input. Let me just, why I can't open that thing in a, so transform is a function. Okay, which is gonna take entry state as input, and that's what we did here. We take an entry state as input. Are we changing this entry state? And why we have this option as button option animated? Okay, so let me just do this thing here. Button options, we have these many options. So instead of animated, sorry, cancel. Here I will use style only, but here instead of animated, there is some shortcut when we can see all the, let me ask, what is the shortcut to see all label options in Z editor while coding? Control Shift P. I don't know, in VS Code it used to be alt space, I guess so. Or control space. Yes, control space. So we have animated and everything. So I'm gonna use this as sky here. Okay, and I, so maybe if I do simple here, Will it work? I think instead of trying here one by one, I should be using. Oh, okay, so this is what animated one does. And I think that this is not working, that bold thing. You see, transform, if S is focused, we are going to because let's go to examples and click here. Make it full screen. If you see here, it's working, but I think it is the behavior of my terminal, how I set it. Button animated, button in frame. I'm more interested in menus, so let's ditch this, what we say, button kind of thing. Okay, so entry state we understood. We also have this focused to check if that element is focused or not. And for entry state, we have is a function which take element as return type and entry state as its input, and button options are say struct. Let me open button options as well. So in button option, we have okay. We have some overloading functions here. For buttons, we can use this many things, and for animated, we can use the foreground and background color. Let me just try this thing only. Should I write color here? How to pass the color? I think we need to write color. Okay, color red. What's value take for? Oh, it's like this. Color red. This will be our background color, and what will be our foreground color? Let it be like, should I use a comma? Of course, we're gonna use a comma, man. Comma. Color. If I click here on color, okay, these are different colors that RGB, HSV, RGBE. Okay. And then I'm gonna, let's say, green, Control S, and let me build. Green color is my favorite, by the way. Okay, you see this thing now? Now the foreground color is what? Red was, I think, the background color. Let's check again. It's a background color, and foreground color is this thing. And we also have a lot of color like background active, background inactive. But never mind. So this is this animated button option animated. This is, we stored it here, then we click transform. So I have one more question, that transform is something, it's a function, but where is this function used? Like here we use option dot transform, and option is what? Option is a button option. So the transform is used only at button options. I'm just interested in that. Uh, yes, you see here, this is button option, and here you can use transform function. Just like here, you use button option animated. In the same way, you can use button option transform. In the button options, we have this everything. These are constructors, by the way. And okay, okay. I got it. I got it. And for the animated color options, hmm. Okay, now let's build a menu, guys. So this is a basic menu that we already built, but let's once again go through the source code. We namespace, okay, we have this thing selected, menu option. This is a static one, na? No, it's a loop. That means it's a continuous kind of thing. But here they created a menu option dot on enter. Let me copy this code first. Control V S, and let's just exit this thing. So we are on loop and on enter. So what this on enter is, I'm more interested in this thing. So now we are on menu options. Okay, so here we are having component options. Like we have entry state, we have underline option, we have animated color options, we have menu entry option. Now here we are for menu option, which will have, these are some standard constructors, horizontal, animated, and everything that we can use with a menu option. Also, it has something on enter. Cold when the user presses entry, cold when the selected entry changes. When the selected entry changes. Okay. And for the style, we have underline, entries option. What are these things? Let's cancel this thing first. Control W. Now go to menu 2. Okay, so here we are having two columns. I can use this code. Menu entries. What are these things? Okay. Animated. See something like this. And in frame multiple horizontal. Menu multiple. Okay, so this is something I'm interested. What if I delete this column and take this menu 1 and menu 2 here and display all the lists here? I think this will be good web. Then we have menu style. What we will have here, nothing. Then we have underline. So if I press tab, you see, tab is having a behavior mode. Not this one. Model dialog. Then we have nested screen. Go to 1, go to 2, back, back. So this is what nested screen is. Print key press. No, it's not working. So I am interested in that where that menu goes. Multiple, I guess. Huh? Let's open its source code. This is something I'm interested in. Okay, so here they are, I guess, menu global container. Should I copy this thing completely? I think I'm gonna need to use AI a bit, otherwise I will stuck here only for whole my life. Now let me just paste it here. We are getting some error, guys, because window is not defined. So this code must have defined somewhere window. No, but they didn't define window anywhere. Hmm? What is this window here? Oh, I need this one as well. Ah, it's a kind of confusing for me. There is examples are good, but let me just copy that complete code only. Hmm. So here, what we are doing, menu selected. Let me open that. Hmm. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are maintaining an array of menu selected. Then we have a vector of vector with everything. Okay, I got it. Then we have menu selected global. That's also fine. Then what we are doing here, container vertical. What is container is just a namespace. And here, if we define vertical, that means all the things are gonna arrange vertically. So we define vertical. Now this thing, and this thing, these both windows are going to be vertical column. And this will be the name. Okay, so we defined a custom window here, custom thing window. So uh, is this window a function or what? I think it's function only. Function window is going to take parameter cells. So is window predefined or no? Window is defined here only. The first thing that and we are returning a component, a string label, and then we have a component. Component means like this menu is a component. Then what we are doing here, we are return render component title. So the syntax of this thing is pretty hard for me to understand. Let me do this thing. Explain this FTX UI syntax to me. So this component, comma, title. Let's see. This is it is a classic example of how FTXUI leverages modern C++ features, specifically Lambda and overloaded operators to create a clean and declarative UI. First of all, I should learn what is declarative UI, or I should ask the same thing with is a programming style where developers describe what the user interface should look like rather than how to build step by step. This approach allows framework to automatically update the UI in response to change in data, simplifying the development process. Let me read a bit more about declarative UI. By the time shit, I'll shift a is a UI transforming the lens memory after offering a more intuitive and efficient approach of creating using the with various UI, unlike traditional imperative programming, which require developer to deal every step of the UI process. Declarative UI designs allow them to describe their desired outcome with the underlying system managing the rest. This method not only streamlines the development process. Let us read what is declarative UI design is a programming paradigm focused on describing what the user interface should look like rather than detailing how to achieve that appearance. In this approach, developers express the desired state of the UI and the system takes care of how to render it. This is a departure from imperative UI design, where each step and interaction must be explicitly coded. Okay. The declarative style has frameworks and libraries that interpret this description to generate the necessary UI components. This method is particularly effective in reducing complexity, making code easier to understand and maintain as developers increasingly favor declarative UI frameworks like React and Swift UI, which embody this paradigm declarative UI design. What it is and why it matters become increasingly relevant. That Swift allows more rapid iteration and dynamic updates, meeting the growing need. Okay, so that means these components and vertical layout is already defined in library and we are directly using them without writing everything by ourselves. This is what we call a declarative UI. At a high level, this function is a decorator. And what is a decorator? Decorator pattern allows you to dynamically add a new behavior to object by wrapping them in a decorator object. So do we have any learn CPP? Ah, hmm. The decorator pattern in C++ allows you to dynamically add new behavior to objects by wrapping them in decorator objects. It follows the structure with a base component interface. It follows the structure with a base component interface, a concrete component, a base decorator, and a concrete decorator that add. Should I read some this? Let's about study about this thing. Decorator is a structural pattern that allows adding new behavior to objects dynamically by placing them inside a spatial, a wrapper object, which we call decorator. Decorator is a structural pattern that allows adding new behavior to objects dynamically by placing them inside a special wrapper. So, hmm, pretty standard in C, especially in code related to streams. Decorator can be reorganized by creation methods or construct that accept objects of the same class. Okay, I will ask. Software. Hmm. From basic to advanced in. Should I read this? The decorative pattern stands out for its unique ability to dynamically add new functionalities to objects without altering their structure. Okay, so this line I understood. The decorative pattern from basic to okay, from the article, the decorative pattern allows developer to seamlessly decorate or wrap objects with new behaviors or responsibilities, ensuring that enhancements are scalable, manageable, and most importantly, interchangeable. This capability is crucial in era where software requirements are constantly evolving, demanding adaptable and resilient systems to change. Let's illustrate with a basic C++ example. Consider a window in a user interface as the component. You want to add functionality like a scroll bar or borders without redesigning the window itself. Here is a simplified version of how you might implement this thing. So we have a class window where we have some like draw and everything. Now we have another class simple window which inherit public window. Then we have this is not what I'm doing. Okay, so I got a basic idea of master. Should I read this article or not? Let me just save it. I will read it later. Move this to learn CP if I get time. I will read that article later if I have time. If I have time. If I will have time. Now let's talk about this thing. This snippet is a classic example of okay, at high level, this function is a decorator takes an existing UI component, existing like this one. It is an existing UI component. Okay, wraps a bordered window around it, wraps a wraps a bordered window around it with a title and tells it to expand to fill the available space. Here is a detailed breakdown. Okay, so a decorator means that suppose we define this component and here our component is a menu. So this is a menu. This is a component that is already defined in this library, how it's going to look. But now we want to add some more functionality in this thing. So we are using a decorator in which this existing UI component is gonna have this extra thing as well inside it. So that's what decorator is. It takes an existing UI component, wraps a bordered window around it with a title and tells it to expand. Uh, tells it to expand. Here is a detailed breakdown of what's exactly happening here. Uh, the function signature We take a component, window, std string, title, and component. You are defining a custom function that returns an FTX UI component, which is typically an alias for, okay, it takes a it takes title for the window and the inner component that you want to display inside the window. Okay, very good. The renderer wrapper, return renderer component, then component title. This is a here we are having a lambda function, which is this is the most important concept in FTX UI. FTX UI heavily separates logic event component from drawing element. Heavily separates logic slash events, and that means component from drawing like element. Renderer is an built-in FTX UI that creates a new component. Let's create a new component. Okay, assignment one, sorry, argument one is component. By passing the original component as the first argument, you are telling FTXY keep routing all mouse clicks and keyboard events to this original component. Argument two, the lambda. The second argument in C++ is a C++ lambda function component title, and here we are having our function model. This tell FTX UI when it's time to draw to the screen, ignore the default drawing method and use this custom code instead. The component title captures block sorry, this the component title capture block ensure that lambda function remember the title and the inner component every time a frame is rendered. Now the drawing logic. Inside the lambda, we define what actually gets painted on the screen. What's actually get painted on the screen. Text, title, convert your standard C++ string into an so that it can be drawn. Okay, comma, component render. This reaches into inner component and asks for its visual represents its element tree. What is this small window function is? Title, content, and border style. This is an FTX UI drawing function that takes two elements, a title and a body, and draws an ASCII Unicode pipe operator. Okay, return pipe operator. Case overload the bitwise OR operator to act as a decorator pipe. It is a very elegant way of applying style and layout to elements. Here, then it takes the window we just drew, applies the flexbox layout to it, and tells the terminal allow this window to stretch and expand to fill any available space on the. Okay, step. Okay. So this is how we are going to see this thing. Let me just press Control C and let me come here. So window is just an decorator for this component. Should I understand the renderer and the render thing? What these guys are doing? FTX UI, the okay, yeah, okay. The big picture. Without renderer, if you just drew a window It could be a static non-interactive drawing element. By wrapping it in renderer and passing the base component, you create a hybrid, a custom visual drawing that still knows how to interact with the user. So if I, as this thing is saying, if I just copy this thing, comment out these lines and run this thing. Why we are having an error here? What this window returns? Let's press here. This window will return an element, and we want a component as a return type. If I remove this thing and write element, there will be no error, but still during compile time we're gonna have issues here. So we're gonna uncomment this thing. So this window returns an element. Let me just ask Gemini. I'm learning FDXUI to make some GUI programs. I think the spelling of program is highly wrong. It should be double. Programs, the spelling of program is like double M, no? Double M, yes. GUI programs. So I want you explain me following things in detail, like what's the use and of. First one is renderer, another one is render, third one is element, fourth one is component, another one is this what we call shared you see here it this thing. Another thing is explain me about component base, and another thing that you should explain me is this thing. Okay. Here also we are using another renderer. So, but this time we are, let me see the syntax of this renderer here. A child, and then we have element here. Huh? This is one renderer, and if you see, so it's a renderer dot cpp which have this function return a new component similar to child but using render as the component render event. Let's read here. FTX is a fantastic building and very modern technology, but its architecture can technically be a bit confusing when you first look at it. Of course, it is damn confusing. And even though it's my first something that I am reading, to really understand FTX UI, you have to understand its core philosophy. It is strictly separates the visual drawing from underlying logic and interaction. Here is the detailed breakdown of these terms grouped by how they interact with each other. The visual stateless drawing element. An element is the fundamental visual building block in FTX UI. Think of it as a pure static drawing of a character on the screen. What it is immutable, stateless representation of what should be drawn. Example, text, hello, window, virtual box, horizontal box, V box, H box. What it is not. An element doesn't know what a mouse click is. It can't hold variables. It can't handle keyboard input. It's just a picture. Okay, render. Because elements are just static picture, you need a way to generate a new picture every time the screen updates, like when a number changes or a button is pressed. What it is, render is a method that gets called every time that gets called every frame. It looks at the current state of the program and returns an element, the drawing representing that state. Then we have logic, stateful interaction. If element is the static painting, component base is the brain. What it is? This is underlying C++ class that handles the actual logic of your UI. It maintains state whether checkbox is checked. It handles focus, knowing which input box you are typing in, and it reacts to events via event E. Method like mouse click or keyboard press is how it connects. Every component base has a render method. When a screen needs to redraw, the library asks the component base to render itself, which split out an element to be drawn on the terminal. Okay, so every component base has a render method. When a screen needs to redraw, the library asks the component base to render itself, which spits out an element to draw. Hmm. In C++, a shared pointer is a smart pointer that automatically handles memory management. Multiple parts of your code can share ownership of the object, but when no one is using it anymore, it safely deletes it. A UI is fundamentally a tree of elements, a main window which holds a layout which holds buttons. Using SharePoint allows FTX UI to manage this complex tree of parent-child components safely without causing memory leaks or dangling pointers. Okay, component. This is the easiest one. A component is literally just an alias, a shortcut for component base. In the FTX source code, there is a line using component equal to. The creator of FTX made this alias so you don't have to type stdci component hundreds of times while building your UI whenever you see component. Just know you are passing around a smart pointer to logic block. The bridge renderer. When you use a built-in FTX UI component like button or input, it comes with its own default visual style. But what if you want to change how it looks or arrange multiple components together? Then that it that is where renderer comes in. What it is, renderer is a special helper function that creates a new component. It takes two things: the logic you want to use and a custom lambda function that tells it how to draw that logic. See, we have a component here with a button. We wrap it in a render argument, pass the argument so it still gets mouse click, pass the component so it will the mouse clicks, and a lambda function that returns. So that means if I don't pass here this, no. If I don't pass here this thing, component. So currently what's happening that this your custom still react to my mouse. But if according to chat GPT or Gemini, if I do this, press Control S, try to build ewaa again, run ewaa. So now this menu 1, menu 2, and menu 3 will not react to my inputs. And that's what happening. So that means what thing I deleted here? I deleted from here the component. Okay. So that's why passing this original one is important. A lambda function that returns a custom element, the drawing. We create a window with this thing and my button render. So this window do we have only text title, text font? Draw a window with title and a border around the element. The title of the window, the element content. To be wrapped. Okay, if you want to create a simple window. Hmm. Element, document, rounded corners. Element, window, content, and border style. But here we uses element, then this content, aka shared pointer node. By default, it's rounded now. Default is rounded. So if I do here like question mark and control space, what if I do empty? I can remove this thing because I'm using. But the content is still showing because for content, I think we are using a. Ah. Okay, guys. By default, it's rounded. Okay. In short, renderer lets you hijack the visual element, base it while keeping the underlying component logic intact. This separation logic interaction, I think I should create a new chat here. and ask him a detailed question. I'm trying to learn FTX UI to make some CPP to application. So I want you to explain me how PXUI works, how how this thing works, and what are the main functions or part it have, and how they affect each other, how they react, how they react to each other, and all other important things in detail with well explained examples. I tried to read its documentation, but as a beginner, it's kinda difficult for me to understand what's happening. Of course, man. I know I told you that I'm not gonna use AI, but I'm not gonna use AI to write the fucking code. I'm using it to understand this basic structure so I can speed up my developing writing code process. You see, I already wasted 2 3 days, and I'm not able to print 3 columns as well. What will happen when I do the main and when I will write the code for the main problem, the transfer of audio packets from Android to Linux and Linux to Android? If such a easy thing is going to take a lot of time to feel okay, most data you are imperative. You tell the computer exactly how to do things. They declare it functional. If that means you describe what you want to do, like okay, 3 main pillars. Okay, I know that that's gonna it is going to do the same thing. You need to understand the difference between element, components, and a screen. What I look like element are the pure static visual building blocks. They have no state, no interaction, and you can think of them like HTML text, hello, border, vblocks, hblocks, and they work together. You nest them inside each other to create layouts, stacks, things vertically and this horizontally. Even we used it here as well. You see, inside vbox, we created a window here as well of content, and we passed it inside renderer so that it's get rendered every time. So I'm understanding a little bit of code here, but I want to speed up the things now. Okay, you nest them inside each other to create layouts. Okay, now understand about components, how it behaves, what it looks like, and components how it behaves. Components are interactive parts of your app. They hold state like whether a checkbox is checked or what the text is typed. They respond to events like mouse click or keyboard presses, example, button, input, checkbox, the magic rule. Every component eventually generates an element to show itself on the screen. And the last and the third one is screen interactivity, the engine, which is now, I guess, hmm, this is the main event loop. It connects your component to the actual terminal window. It listens to your keyboard, mouse inputs, passes them to your component, asks your components how they look now, and ask your component how they look now, getting their element and paint them to your terminal. How they react to each other. Renderer. The hardest concept for a beginner is figuring out how to put interactive component inside a beautiful layout of visual elements. FTX UI solves this with a special function called renderer. It takes your interactive component and wraps them with a custom visual layout. Here is exact life cycle of how they react to each other. You press a key, screen interactive catches it. It passes the key to your component. Example, input box. The input box updates the internal state. Oh. The input box updates the internal state, internal string or state. The screen interactive triggers a redo. Your renderer rebuilds the element tree using new string and terminal updates. A complete well-explained example is really simple. Its input will type a name and a button and type a greeting updates in real time. So we created a string username and we have this thing. Welcome, please enter your name. Now create components in input takes a reference to our string. When you type, it updates username automatically. Then we created an input box. It's gonna take takes a label and a lambda function will happen if username is empty. Please don't leave hello there. Component layout, input box and submit button. So we have input box and below we are going to have a this is the most important part. It combines your interactive layout component with static elements like border text and to make it look like. So we pass layout component and virtual vertical box. Then we have a separator here. Then we input text name, input box render flags. Then we make the submit button render final message. Then and color green. This thing you can use simple screen as well. So I'm gonna copy this code. This code I completely understood from head to toe. Let me explain it. So we are having a string and we are having a final message here. So now we are creating an input option. This is the first time I'm seeing this thing. It has content and it has some placeholder. Okay. And it has function as well, which take input state. And we have function on change and on edit. And we also have cursor position. Oh. So now we create an input option. For input option dot placeholder, we use this type here. Now, if you see this input option also have a placeholder then content. Then we created a component using this input. Now let me show you this input as well. Let's go here. An input box for editing text, content, the editable content option, additional optional parameters. Okay. So we use @username. We transferred it here and then the input option. And since we created here a input option with placeholder this, so input option can also have a content now, as you can see here. So what, okay, we will do that afterwards. What if this input options also have some content? Then what will happen? Okay, so we created an input box here. Now we created a submit button with label and with the action. If username is empty, we will write this in the final message. And if username is not empty, then we will write its name here. Now we group components here. So these are the two components, and from these two components we create a new components where we arrange this input box and submit button vertically. Okay, now this renderer, now we want a custom UI. This component I created, so I pass this layout component here. Oh, okay, now I got it, how I can create that thing. What we say, three menu options. First of all, I create a component here using menu, first menu, third menu, three menus. Then I will pass it here. Then I will, to render that thing, either I can click here renderer. This is this same name so that the mouse inputs are also and keyboard inputs go through. Then we have the lambda fonts and everything, so we can use this input button and everything. Control S, Control C, clear. Let me use a black wallpaper. I mean, kind of black wallpaper so that we can see all the background colors nicely. So I have welcome, please enter your name. So initially you're seeing the thing, initially the final message is this thing. Okay. And if I entered some name here, and since I entered my name here, the username is got update. Now username is not containing this blank space. Now it's containing this yakin. And now if I press the button, it will run this logic. And if it's empty, I'm going to see this message, otherwise my name. And since it's not empty, I can click submit, hello yakin, and I can rewrite it. And what if this thing is here? So you are seeing this thing here. So do we have something as center here, control space? Do we have, I think center will work. We'll see now. Build ewaa. Okay, I think the name is on center now. Similarly, we can also do these things. This input box is flexed but this. So I can do what I can do. Can make this as well in the center. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to try one thing, that what if this input options also have some content like hello, hello. What's going to happen with this content? I'm interested in that. So that content is used nowhere. Hmm. So we have a content here, but it's not used anywhere. The content of the input option for the input command, input state. I kind of understand a little bit of things. Now I can write a custom this thing. You see this render in engine? We can make everything horizontal as well. If we do here H box and control S. Now if I run build ewaa and type ewaa again, everything is here like horizontally. So I think I can write my code now. I think I can do that now. So let me just remove everything from here. Of course, I'm gonna see this code here a little bit, but I'm confident that I can write it now. First, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to create my screen with screen, and why I'm not seeing full screen option. Huh? What's happening here, guys? Okay, so since I didn't include screen dot, and as we know that, yeah, Control Z, FTX UI. Oh, it's in screen dot SPP. Let me just copy this thing. We are not going to use this one. We will be using this one. Screen, and now if I type, still I'm not seeing those options. Huh? You see the source code of any of this code, and you will see here. Oh, it's app, not that. Sorry, my I got a little confused between both of those things. So this screen is not what we are looking for. This is what we are looking for, and app, which is the application in the main loop, and it does the same thing. And if I do control space, I see full screen. Okay, we created the logic. Now we have to create some menus as well. So let's see the code of how to create a menu with this thing. Okay, so if you go in this here, we are doing like this component. So first of all, we're gonna have vector and std string. I think I should include now iostream as well. Hashtag include iostream. Oh. So we don't need this thing. Actually, what I did here, I forgot to write this thing. And then these are the inputs. And how we write here, we're gonna have inputs like let me write some company name. Vivo. Okay, we can write only Android. Let's write nothing. Xiaomi. These are the mobile phones that are connected, and iQOO. Okay, then we're gonna write int input selected. So with the int also I have to type std. Believe me, I don't think so. I need to type something here. Input selected. Input selected. Then we're gonna write another vector where we're gonna use std again, strings only, where we will have options, and there are currently only two options, audio, and another one is mic. Then we have option underscore selected. Now let's create another vector with the same string, and let's call it output. Here also we will have everything. We'll see. Linux. Here also Linux, Control S. Now I will create. Okay. I will create output. Let's go selected. Now what you're gonna do now? It's a good question. So you see here, the first combine both input box and submit box in layout so that the in a vertical, but still we manage them to get horizontal. So it doesn't matter if you define input box and submit button here vertically. We define that input box and submit button will be stored vertically. If I printed this layout component, then we could have them vertically, but I later changed it here in my custom render function. So now what I'm going to do, I will combine all these three. First, I will create menus here, and how to create menu we won't know. So what we're gonna do here, we gonna, should I use the name as well? I think so. So we should add auto. Then we have input menu, which will create a menu which will need something like input, and then it will need input selected. This is the first menu. Then we have options underscore menu, which will take which will take uh, which will take options, and which will take options selected. Take another one where I will take output underscore menu. Here I will create another menu with the output as that and output selected. Should I initialize it or not? Let's see in the example that they initialized it or not. They have initialized, but so do I need to pass it by how? Let's check the constant string reference in the start. I passed it here with that sign and many option. I'm not interested here in using this thing. So now I created three this thing. Now what I'm going to do, I will create a component just like here. We created a component, this layout components. We have two interactive things. We must put them together so that terminal know how to navigate between them using arrow and tab key. So now we're gonna combine these things with the same command. Layout components is equal to, now with container we can do them anyway, vertical, horizontal. Okay, we can use this thing tab. Okay, let's use this tab. A list of components where only one is drawn and interacted with at a time. The selector gives you index of the selected component. This is useful to implement tabs. Should we use this thing? I think we should use this thing, but here we need to pass children. Components. It is asking components. Okay, let's just first this, and then here what we are going to do, I need to see its syntax, man. I can see these definitions, but why not these? Control Z. How can I go to the definition of this thing? Uh-uh. What is a container? Right. Hmm. For container, we have this thing vertical, horizontal, tab. And for the tab, we can do this like children and tab drawn. Okay, we will use this thing. And here we will write it like this, where we will have our input menu, comma, where we will have our options menu, where we will have our output menu. And for the here, we will type the same thing, menu underscore selected. And here we will define menu underscore selected. Okay. Container tab and everything is fine, I guess. Now it is time to create the now it's time to create another component with just for final UI, where I'm gonna use renderer, similar to child, but using a renderer as the component. We will use renderer, which will use the uh, layout components, but here we will be using a custom render function, which will take everything in its capture block, and then we will write it function body, where we will return a virtual box or horizontal box. I will go with horizontal box, then this thing, then this, press enter. Why I'm getting hbox is, so for hbox, do I need to include something else? So it's giving me some kind of what is now? No magic function to call renderer. Huh? What's the issue here? I think the renderer, the spelling is right. Hmm. Uh, Oops, sorry. Click to quit render button, dollar return box. So what's the issue? I'm not getting this thing. Don't know, man. Mm, Call to hbox is ambiguous code. What does that mean? The function is don't exist or what? Hmm. This is in what file? Alt enter. So, so this render.cpp, what's the issue here, man? I'm not getting. Hmm. The spelling is correct. All the libraries included are the same ones. So what's the issue? Oh, I think I removed this library from here. I think so. I guess I got it now. But the issue is still there. Wow. You're gonna write component final underscore UI is equal to and renderer with layout components and dollar with the I think I should write the complete function, then they will be written at box written h box where I will write my text. Welcome to ewaa. No. I got an idea what I'm going to do. We will write a virtual box, vertical box here first. With okay, so first we will have a text of this thing. Welcome to ewaa 3 and 1 2 3. Now what we're gonna do here, we're gonna make it center. We're gonna make it bold and we're gonna make it the color of, let's say, blue. This is a what should that thing. Then we will write make a separator. After that, we're gonna create a horizontal box. After that, we're gonna create a horizontal box where we will have, I can't use that thing. Horizontal box where I will submit button where I will do this thing in input underscore menu, and I will render this thing. Then we will have a separator. Then I will render output menu. Then we will have another separator. Sorry, not output menu. We will write a options menu. Then we will have an output menu which I will render, and at last we will have a separator. Okay, so this complete H box, this complete so this virtual vertical box, I okay, make it control S, and at last we gonna do screen dot loop, and we will write final UI, and at last we will have return 0. Now it's the moment of throw. Build ewaa, enter. Everything was fine. Okay. But I can only should I initialize it with 0? Vertical, and then I should remove this 3 from here. Tchkyan, tchkyan. And this is done for, I think, readable code for. Now let's build this thing again. Build ewaa. So instead of vertical, let's build it Control C and build ewaa. So I want to transfer my Xiaomi audio to my PC and press enter. But there is still one issue, that is I'm not seeing and how to use flex so that I can use complete screen. You see this thing? Input box render. So I think I should pass it here. Flex here. What if I do it at only one place, and for virtual box pass border? Build ewaa. So initially I want everything to be at 0, So let me just put here equal to 0. Okay. And now let me also pass flex here, control S, and now control C, build ewaa. But the border is not working for why I have this thing here. I think for last I don't need any separator because this last line is from that separator only, but still I'm not getting this thing. I think after this line as well, I should press a comma and should write separator. And let's just remove this thing from here. Though I need this semicolon, control C, build ewaa. Wow, it's done. Now I want one more thing, and that's that I want this welcome to ewaa a little bit larger. You see, I can press JK to iterate here, press L to come to this section, again press L to come to this section. Okay. But what if you see here, I combine these three menus in one layout horizontally, like this, and then I restructure them. But I want a title also, no? I want a title over this menu and this menu. How to do that? And that we can do with window. Let's open this thing. Here, what we are doing, return window text. It is returning an element now. And in hbox, we can only use, if I see the syntax of hbox takes elements inside it. So I think I can write this window thing here. Should I try that? Oh, let's just try this thing. If I do window, we need a title, content, and something. I click here window. We need a title. We will title will be like input, and for so what this thing will return. Let's just comment this line and go to here return. So this renderer is returning an element. So I think I can should I do this thing or not? Let me just comment this line and uncomment this line. And since it need an element here, I'm gonna do render here and then a question. So what do you think? Will it work? It will work, but I think it should work because if when we are doing here this thing without and this renderer function, but we are already using a render function here, so I think it would be fine. I'm very excited for this one, and if this worked, I will be damn happy. Eva, input. Okay, so it's fine, but we are getting another border there. So I think I should uncomment this line here. I should uncomment this line, all this I should remove now. And now I should also uncomment this line and this line. And let's just simply write a window where the text will be options, and for this just do options menu, enter, and so question mark here, and here we do window text. For title we will use output, and for elements we will have output menu. We will render it here and press Control S. What do you think now? Will it look what I'm thinking like? Okay, it looks nice, but we could do one thing. What this window is returning? Window is returning an element, so I think I can pass it and do something like flex, and here also I can do this. Control S, Control C, and build ewaa and ewaa. Wow, it looks great, man. It looks fantastic. Input, and I think now I can push my first code to GitHub. I created that repo like how many days before? Let me show you guys. I created my repo of ewaa around when I created. Okay, more than 1 week has gone. 18 May, and what's today's date? Today's 25. So exactly 7 days has gone. And today I'm going to make my first commit. But still I want to do something that if this input menu, what if I transfer it to let me pipe it in center. Control S, build if everything fine. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What if instead of doing this thing, I think the output will be same only if I include this in like this. I think they will be controllers first. I think there will be no change over there. ewaa, no change. So, but we are not going to do this it in this way. Seems very confusing. Control C, Control V, space, Control V. My PC is getting, sorry, my laptop is getting hot now. 92 degrees Celsius? What the? Huh? Okay, guys, I think I should stop my live stream. Though my, if you see my this OBS is using only 1% of CPU, I still don't think, I still don't know why this thing is using so much of. Let me wait. So the Z editor is using OBS is using Z editor is using my 8% of CPU. Are you serious? Let me press Control S and let me just exit this thing. And now my CPU temperatures are falling down, which is a good thing. You see this thing? It's just crazy, guys. I thought that Z editor is so nice and everything I heard, but should I open it again? Z, I opened it, and my temperatures are rising again. If I use something like this, so for now it's using around very less of that, what we say, CPU, but who knows? Where is my browser? Okay, everything's fine. For now, the where's that Z editor is using nothing, but we will see that. So now that I have done everything, build ewaa. How can I increase the size of this thing? You see, what if I want to share pipe and press Control space? Let me just click here first. Oh, sorry. So for the text, we can only do one thing. But what if I want to increase the size of this text? Now I'm more worried about my CPU temperatures, guys. Where I can find that how to increase the size of this text. If I click here, go to center, it takes element. Okay. So do we have something composite decorative? I want something that increase the size, vertically center, horizontally center, horizontal and then vertical both center, align right. These are some things, but I'm more interested in how to increase this size. Do we have some dot operators here? Dot, and then do I have some size? No. So far my application is looking nice, but what if I want to type a border? Yes, we can do border heavy. Control S. I think I did it. I'm pretty sure this will work because I seen an example where they used it like that only. But but so what if I use a flux here now? Hmm. What do you think what will happen? I think it's gonna take full space. Are you sure about that? What if this center one, I use this at last? So what other element properties I can apply? This is for border, but so we have only something for border and everything, but let's try border style. Scam, scam. Hmm. Welcome to ewaa. Hmm. Oh, ah. Okay, I think we did it. Now the only thing that I want is, do we have something as align bottom and something like that as well? Line right. Don't we have anything like align at bottom? Left, right. How can I take text at the bottom? Like here. If you want to see an example, let me show you guys. I'm talking about this one. So do you think this TUI of Blue TUI is also created with FTX UI? Okay, let's just cancel it, exit it. So far, I'm pretty happy with my code, but we'll change it eventually. But how to capture events? Hmm? I want to understand how to capture events. Print key press. And I'm interested in the source code of this one. Right column. So if you see in this code, we are printing this component. This component is declared where this component was defined here with left column resizable split left. What is this resizable? Oh, nice. But okay, it's resizable. And then we did something like catch event. Okay, so we can do something like this. catch event, and let me write this code first here. So we have final UI as our component. Now I can write something like this and catch event string component and component.hp. So we have that included. Let's go to the definition of catch event. So catch event has its two definitions. First one is um, first one I don't know about the second one when we are going to use it, but there are two definitions of catch event, and the first one when we give it a child. So this definition is first one or second one. So since it has only one parameter argument, or so it's the second one, and this one is, so here we give a child. Okay. Return on event. I'm not understanding what is written here, anything. Let me just copy this line. So why I'm not seeing the complete? Let's just expand it a little bit and expand this as well. So we are having some examples here. Okay. Of course, we're gonna have some example for this as well. Sorry. Do we have any? Okay. Below we don't have any useful information. Okay. Now let's see. Do we have something above as well? On event. These are something on event. We don't need these things. So return a component using on event using on event to catch event. This function must return true when the event has been handled, false otherwise. Child the wrap component. So we are not going to wrap any component here. Instead, let me ask Gemini only about this function. Control C. Explain the both catch event function and when to use which one with well explained examples. We have been doing live stream like for how much time now? 2 hours. This is the last thing that I'm going to do. I am gonna implement a catch event function where I will exit this thing by pressing Q, and I guess after that I will be done. Let's see. It is a very common to get tripped up by this when writing C++ source code. When reading C++ source code, when you are looking at a similar feature called function overloading on two functions have the exact same name catch event but take different argument. Under the hood, both of these functions do the exact same thing. They wrap a component and listen to keyboard and mouse inputs like pressing Q to quit, or the arrow key is to move. The only difference between them is how you write the code, the syntax. FTX, you have to write both, so you can choose the style that that make your code easiest to read. Here the breakdown of what each one does and how they work and when to use them. So both are doing the same thing. Is that what are you trying to say? Here we have to find pass a component, but here we are going to use a function which is going to take input and event, output a bool. Let's see. Okay, the core concept, assuming events. Before looking at the difference, you need to understand the lambda function they both share. They both share the same lambda function. So here also they have a lambda function of bool event, and here also they have a bool event lambda function. Should I remove this thing? Before looking at the difference, you need to understand the lambda function they both share. Event. When you catch an event, when you catch an event in FTX UI, you must return a bool. Return true means I have handled this event, so stop passing it to other components you consumed the input. Means I didn't care about this event, pass it to the next component. Okay, so once event return true, that particular input will not go to the next components. Otherwise, it will. Function one, the wrapper. Okay, you see this thing? This is a wrapper. Like we